live. Yeah, we going live. Hey, we going live. Yeah, we going live. Yeah, we going. Yeah, we going. Yeah, we going live. From the 50-yard line, we going live. From the 50-yard line, we going live. From the 50-yard line. Hey.
Hello.
How are you?
I am Stephanie Fitzpatrick, aka the Advantage Coach, and welcome to episode 147 of Feel to the Real podcast. I am uber excited. So if you've been paying attention since Jared is gone, we've had 3 ladies in a row helping me co-host. So I'm excited today that we look now. The last 3 are going to be all men, not on purpose, y'all. I promise it just happened this way. But I'm uber excited to have this young man with us today. I promise you, he is somebody that I met maybe about like 4 or 5 years ago now. It feels like it's not been that long, but it really has been. And when I met Kennard Backman from the beginning, he has just been such an amazing person. Like his spirit, he's kind, he's humble, and I just love that he's the way that he is. Like, and I know quite a few professional football players, professional athletes, and that's not always the case. I'm gonna just say that. And so I appreciate that you are who you are, Kennard Backman. And every time I say, Kennard, I need you, I got you, what you need me to do. So I appreciate you for joining me today on this episode of the Feel to the Real podcast. And I want to give you a moment to just give us a little snippet about you. Listen, I saw your bio. I said, I'm not reading that. I'm gonna let him tell these people about him. And it's extensive, y'all. I'm gonna just say he's got an extensive resume. And so I'm gonna let him tell you all. And then of course, the way that this show works is I will ask you a few questions.
Of course. So definitely glad. Definitely glad on my end. One, Stephanie, just appreciate the opportunity. This is kind of what I do, just as far as like, wanting to give back, wanting to kind of fellowship. That's really what it's all about. Like Stephanie said, my name is Kennard Backman. So athlete and entrepreneur, originally from Atlanta, Georgia. Kind of had the typical, I guess, route from like a young minority from, just living in the inner city, just with some of the distractions, not necessarily from always like a monetary standpoint, but just some of the distractions that come with that. Was still able to, muster up and continue to go through school, was able to get a scholarship, went to University of Alabama, Birmingham. So a lot of times you will see me with a lot of green on. So that's the Blazers. That's not Alabama that's not Alabama Roll Tide. So
No.
I always like to let people know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was able to get my degree, finance, did some NFL time, spent 3 years in the NFL, post that, still cutting hair. I forgot to kind of mention that, was cutting hair throughout that time. Still continued that entrepreneurship journey, was decided to get my barber license when I came back home to Atlanta, and really just started really servicing the community as much as I felt possible. And that's really where me and Stephanie connected. And I know we worked it with New Breed and just doing some other stuff as well. So this is really, again, just an honor. And day to day, I know a lot of people like, what are you doing now? And then, for me, I have a job. I just work a job. I work in cybersecurity, and still doing a lot of the philanthropic stuff that I want to do. Have a nonprofit, Innovation Pros, that still servicing as well. So really just being able to do stuff like this, feel to the real, like just being able to do stuff like this, even with you. So it's an honor.
I love it.
Being the first guy. So I guess that's even an honor.
Yes, absolutely. I appreciate it. No. And so what I read in your bio that floored me, and I don't think you ever shared this with me, is it was 10th grade before you started playing football?
Yes, ma'am. It was 10th grade when I started playing. I was really a basketball guy,
Yeah.
a lot of other sports, but decided to make that change. It was really a leap of faith, honestly. People used to
Mm.
always kind of talk about the potential that I had, and just took that leap of faith.
Wow. And look at what God did. Okay.
It's him. It's him because
Okay.
I didn't grow up playing football or even having any experience.
Yeah.
I just you know, outside in the street, maybe somebody will throw a long pass and they'll tell you
Right.
to go catch it. That's really about it.
Right. No, that's amazing. That's a testament to God will make your gifts make room for you.
Oh yeah, they will.
They
Along with
will.
exponential people, like I think people will really take you to your purpose. So
Yeah.
with that being said, I had some awesome coaches. So I would
Yeah.
never, take that any for myself. A lot of that obviously is God. And then from that is just following that leadership and the coaching that I had.
Awesome. Love it. Thank you so much. So just since you've left the NFL, you've been doing a lot and you just kind of told us what you've been up to a little bit. I want you to kind of, because one of the things that I love about you, Kennard, is that there's this artsy side to you. And so you have this arts and culture passion. And so I want you to, if you'll just share a little bit more about what your foundation does.
Yeah. So again, Innovation Pros, it's a fine arts education nonprofit. And again, just a little bit more about myself, just really as I started growing up. I mean, I was in band. I was actually in band before, up until, I decided to actually play football. I was in a marching band.
Yeah.
And before that, I was in concert band in middle school. And even before that, I played the recorder. And honestly, just being in those classes, I was immersed with a lot of people who use that side of their brain, and a lot of people who decided to really want to channel that and express it in different areas. So I was around a lot of with people, artsy people, and it just helped me really to kind of develop a learning from that aspect and understanding too, as well, that as I started to get older, that there's not as much a curriculum and structure as far as being able to translate that into actually a career path and into something that you can pass down or actually create a more than just an average living from. So with that kind of led me to start Innovation Pros. Initially was running like a lot of the football stuff kind of through that. So kind of separated that and actually structured this into a true like fine arts education nonprofit. And so really looking at that 7th to 10th graders is kind of like that target, and really being able to cultivate and synergize that gap between where they are and where they're trying to go. So that includes barbering, audio engineering, art and design, and then we kind of bound it all together with our tech lab. That's kind of really my focus right now.
Okay. I love it. No, that was when I first met you, when we first started talking, and we were, with Jamia and New Breed Works and stuff, and you were talking about this is where your philanthropic, like your heart is. And I was like, this is amazing. Already loving the whole, because I honestly, people don't know it, but it is true. So I'm glad you have it as a part of it, that like barbering is literally an art. Like it takes an artist's eye almost to do the work, even on just somebody who just wants a plain old, I don't know, haircut. So let me not say a tip fade. I don't know. It takes an artistry eye to see that. So I found that really fascinating, and it's really cool. And I love that you are free to be, that and do that and embrace that side of you, because everybody isn't comfortable with that. And I love that. So kudos to you, sir. You were so we have a segment called On to the Real. You were our On to the Real spotlight probably about 2 years ago.
All right. Yeah. See, and I think, with that, it's taking, it's a journey. It's a journey too. And I think that's really, with anything that I like to, even kind of how, you have the globe up there and, right next to your head, like it's really a journey. And I think just really understanding that. And again, just always for me, I always like to make sure that make sure that everyone knows that I'm humble, and making sure that there's nothing that I've done that you can't do, and I think that's really something that I like to always make sure that I tell everyone. It could definitely be done. It's a journey too, ups and downs.
Yes. So that kind of great segue into the next question. any advice for the guys that are playing now about how they can transition? Because you seem to have done it a little, I know it's not easy, but you've kind of done it seamlessly.
Yeah, it looks seamless. So with that, when you're transitioning, I think the first thing you have to think about, you have to be honest. I think that's because when you're not transitioning, or like when you're in a current state, you can build up lies or false deceptions of what reality truly is. But when it's time to transition, the only way I think that you can really have a fluid transition is if you're honest about your current state. Because if you don't know where you're at, you're not going to get to where you're going. So if you want to make up these deceptions that you're ready for this, and you know what I mean, stuff that I've went through, like if you're ready for this, and I put myself out in situations and I found out that I wasn't necessarily ready for that, you know, but it's being honest though, you know, through that transition. So and spending time with yourself. So again, that once you become honest, like, okay, I need, like, football was a big, huge part of my life. And, you know, that was a big piece. But as I transitioned, I have to understand that, you know, when it comes to like the financial world, or like, I didn't necessarily know as much as I thought I did, you know, and I had to be honest with myself in those aspects. You know, a lot of times our world in football is so in between the lines that sitting in this, like, now I enjoy it. Like, I sit in the stands now. Like, I have no choice. Nobody will pay me any more money to do anything on an athletic field. So with that, I'm sitting in the stands, and it's crazy that, like, you know, what my dad and, you know, some of my older, you know, family members say is that, like, I can see more sitting down than you can standing up. So that always comes back to me when I'm talking about that transition and being honest and understanding that, like, you know, sitting in the stands, like, I can see more than you probably can while you're going through it, while you're, you know, you're in the game. So, like, sometimes when, you know, you have these coaches that are telling you that, like, hey, you step with your left foot, but like, you know, you think that you step with your right foot, but, you know, the whole time, and, you know, the coaches, like, you know, a lot of times they don't have any reason to lie to you, to tell you why you step. Like, why would they tell you that you step with your left foot when you step with your right foot, if these are the coaches that obviously are trying to see the best and provide the best for you? So, you know, with that being said, understanding that there needs to be some honesty and structure in order to really elevate, you know, because this false deception of kind of where you're at is not going to work. But then once you understand where you're at, it's not really just getting down, Stephanie. I think it's more so picking yourself up and building yourself up and putting those positive things in your life. Like, I had to recreate my habits, you know, just from like a daily perspective, to get that, to maintain that, to create that positive structure, and then to continue to maintain that and reinforce that through, you know, my schedule. And that right there, it's like, okay, you'll start to see stuff throughout time, because just like you go to the mirror, you work out, you can do the best workout, the hardest workout, you go into the mirror day one and try to flex your muscle and try to look at your body, it's gonna be like, I really look the same. Now, if you know, maturize that and continue to do that process, you know, over time, and you'll see where you were at. And I think that's seeing that, you know, it aided to that process. So I think being honest with yourself, but then creating those positive, you know, aspects in your life that will continue to feed, that will then give you like an internal, intrinsic confidence that's not needed from any external resources, any validation from, you know, Instagram to tell you, or any comment from anybody to tell you that, like, hey man, I know you were all this in football, but like, you can still be all of this out of that. And like, because you don't really, you're not really going to see those. I didn't really see a lot of those comments on my, like, the comments from when I was playing to then when I was post playing. One, minimized, shrunk, completely different. So like, you really have to start to understand that intrinsic value. And a lot of the, you know, you'll understand, I think even I guess that's phase 3, as far as like even getting it and kind of like accelerating it, is understanding that you really had this same intrinsic ability the whole time, because like what you were doing in football, it really translates over to the real world. But like, we have to like go through that transition to be honest, to then create a confidence and a foundation, and then to be able to accelerate that by kind of going back to who you are or who you were, and always kind of remembering that. And I think you probably do that. Just like, hey, I've gotten this far. Like, look what God, because God, look what God, what I mean? God done brought you this far. He's not going to let you go now. So absolutely. I guess that's a long-winded answer to really
listen, that is an amazing answer, because it was so many things I wanted to be like, yes, 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 that's right. Because as a coach, what I do as a certified coach, my niche is in transition. And so this is my passion for working with athletes in the first place, right? So everything you just said, it just resonates with me, like that, let's be honest about where we are, and let's be clear about where we're going. But staying in today, that's a huge thing that I'm always telling people about, staying today. And also just once you're clear about who you are outside of the sport, then it's easy to start to build those habits, like you said. And a lot of it, you just said it, it's the same thing. You learn to be disciplined as a football player. And so you just have to translate that into something that looks less on the field, but it's the same thing. Just being disciplined and being, giving it your all. Obviously, to get to the level you do, you had to be someone who gave 100%, right? So it's just naturally who you are. So just finding what that thing is that you are passionate about outside of what you did on the field, and putting that kind of effort into it is, I think that's what I love to do, is help people, help them find that. I like to work with athletes to help them get to that point, right? So
and I think it makes sense too. And the only thing that I would add to what I said, and I go along with what you said as well, is just, and I think I wanted to make sure I define stuff, because again, just trying to articulate kind of what I meant through that process. I think what I meant with those good habits is really creating that structure, because I think that's something that we valued, and we didn't know that how much we valued structure when we was an athlete, and we enjoyed being told. We don't like being told to do, but we did like being told what to do. You did like that, because that gave you structure to then complete the task every Sunday, or from your freshman year all the way to your senior year. That structure has now went from 170-pound receiver, now they even have you playing tight end at 220, and now
right.
You know what I mean? So it was that structure, but when you get taken out of that structure, I don't think we realize how much structure goes into it. Because obviously there's a lot of time and emphasis from a coaching and from like a community standpoint, just from like America. Like, I don't think we realize like how much structure kind of goes into that, and then we have to emulate that same structure, when we once we're done. And that's what I'm talking about with those habits, because that's habits to create that structure. Because
it's the discipline.
You believe where you're going if you don't have structure. But like, if you've been through something, like, hey, I've seen this structure before. Like I went through this through the NFL, or I went through this in a similar situation. If I can do the same structure, be honest with myself, get the criteria, it's just now it's rinse and repeat. And I think that's good. Some of the highlights that I'm seeing just from, I guess, going through my process and seeing people who go to different industries and seeing successful people or mentors. And I see that there's a process, like they're not firing from the hip. It's literally a process, and the process has now gotten so efficient that it looks like they're firing from the hip.
Right.
Like coming off so smooth that it looks like they're just, they don't have to, they can just come in front and just, I don't need anything,
Right.
But it's because of that. But don't miss what got them there, though. And that's what I would say.
No, I love it. It's true. Absolutely. That's why I said that discipline, it translates. It's the same, you know what I mean? Like you have to be disciplined in order to receive the structure. And so I feel like that is absolutely what it is. And I feel like we just get to, this is the same. I say this all the time. It's the very same for someone coming out of the military, because everything has been very structured for them as well. And so coming back to civilian life for them, they have to find their way in how do they utilize what worked for them in that setting, in this new setting. And so it's a very similar situation for athletes who are leaving high level playing. So yes, thank you. Jared's gonna fuss at me because we just took so long with that, but that's okay. That was so good. And so last question, anything happening that you want to share?
I think that's probably really about it. I think I kind of talked about it just with right now, just trying to cultivate really the programming, from a barber perspective, and really with like our tech lab, and then still trying to do that just really within the nonprofit. So that's really honestly kind of what I got going personally. Nothing really else again outside of that. Just really dedicated to try to put more time into doing stuff like this. Like, I mean, not even just saying that for this podcast, but you know, that's really kind of what my focus is.
Okay, awesome, love it. All right, so now we're on to our Who's Really Right. And you all know, since Jared's been gone, we've been doing this whole playoffs every week. Listen, last week my heart was broken, but that's okay. When my boyfriend went down, but that's okay. Everybody knows Travis Kelce is my boyfriend. Okay, so so we are now looking at the Super Bowl, and I would love to get your prediction for, obviously it is the Cincinnati Bengals and the LA Rams. So who you got?
Yeah, so one, I thought you were actually going to say, you said my heart fell. I thought you were going to say Mahomes, but I guess Travis Kelce is your guy. So
yes.
Yeah, with that being said, really for me, I'm going to go with the Bengals. Honestly, for myself, Joe Burrow, what I saw the past couple weeks, he looks prepared. He looks ready. He's people throwing that Brady-esque type, similarity at him, and I think so. I think he comes prepared every game. Like honestly, I think it's going to be a good game. I think the defense is going to be well prepared. The problem is just going to be, I think, kind of stopping Cooper Kupp and Sean McVay's like kind of crazy offensive kind of
those schemes are crazy.
Very crazy schemes. And but I think if Joe Burrow can really kind of get the ball out of his hand fast, and they're gonna have to get a little bit creative, because I think they can't let that pass rush from their end get to them. But otherwise, though, if they can get creative on the Bengals side, because they're not really that creative as far as like playing style on offense, and I mean we know who the ball's going to, and
we know Jamar Chase is getting the ball. Whatever. Yes,
and they don't really have the offensive line to support a lot of pass rush. So if they can find some creative ways, like strategy-wise, to negate that, I think Joe Burrow will do the rest for sure.
Oh yeah, no, if people have watched this or seen me since we started, they've been my pick the whole time, right? Every week, because until last week, because Joe Burrow reminds me of LeBron. He picks up the mop bucket and he bring everything with him. Like, I'm gonna just, it's just get on my back. We just going, let's go, that kind of thing. And he's just a winner. And I said, any dude that's bold enough to put on a turtleneck and a iced out chain on TV, you got swag, dude. That's all I can say. Yep. You got swag, Joe Burrow. I love it. But I have to go with the Rams in this case, because I feel like the offensive firepower, they're more balanced. I'll say that. I feel like they have superstars on both sides of the ball. Aaron Donald, that I don't even know what to say about him. Like, so, and I have to be honest, it's a little biased because I want to see Matthew Stafford, Georgia boy, get him a ring. I do. I want to see it happen. So he suffered for so many years in Detroit, and I do mean suffered so many years in Detroit that I feel like I just want him to get. Joe Burrow is gonna have plenty of opportunity for this. I just want Matt. So I feel like some of this is my heart, some of this is my eyeball, right? But I do feel like they have the more balanced team. Cooper Kupp, OBJ. You know, the run game isn't the best, but they do enough.
No, I agree.
They
for
do
sure.
enough.
It'll be close. I think it'll be close.
Yeah.
It'll either be really close or it'll get out of hand.
Right. Well, see, but out of hand means nothing to the Bengals.
Yeah. Exactly.
So even if they come out, even if the Rams come out and they like zoom, 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 it doesn't mean anything unless you keep your foot on the gas, because we saw what just happened last week. Hurt my feelings. Yes. So it did. It hurt my feelings. Not to mention I was doing really well. I was like at that point 8-2 in my guesses.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. You're spot on.
Oh, so
You're spot on.
yeah. So we'll see. So yeah, y'all let us know who's really right. So Kennard says that the Bengals are going to win the Super Bowl. And I say the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl. So you all let us know who's really right.
Now put the cameras on me, 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 put the cameras on me.